guys, welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to play a fingerstyle arrangement of Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. So let's get into it. To start off, we are in standard tuning and you need to put a capo on the 3rd fret of your guitar. So I'm going to call this fret the one right after the capo, which is the 4th fret. I'm going to call that the 1st fret, this one the 2nd fret, this one the 3rd fret, 4th fret, and so on. In this song we have 6 different sections. We have the intro, the verse, the pre-chorus, the chorus, we have the bridge and the outro. I'm going to take you through all these individual sections one by one, and then I'll tell you the order of the song. So I'm going to tell you the song structure in the end. So to start off, we have the intro, which sounds like this. So the very first bit of the intro sounds like this. So there we start with this chord where we're playing the 2nd fret of the G string and the 3rd fret of the B string. We also have the open D string there. So you start by playing this. So there you plug the D string, G string and the B string and you play that with a roll. Like that. And after that you have this. So there you plug the D string and then the G string. And then you play this, which is where you ring the chord with the slap. So there you're basically ringing the chord with the index finger like this. And at the same time you're using the thumb to slap on the low E string to make the percussive sound. So the whole thing till there sounds like this. And after that you have this part. So there you play this. So you start by playing the 1st fret of the B string with the index finger and you pick that note. And then you hammer on onto the 3rd fret of the B string. And then you play the open high E string. Like that. One more time. So from the start you have this. And after that you have this part. So there you pick this note on the 2nd fret of the G string once. And then you slap and ring the chord again. And then you pick this note on the 1st fret of the B string. So the whole thing sounds like this. One more time. And from the start we have this. And after that we have this part. Which is exactly the same, you're just changing the bass note. So instead of playing the open D string, now you're playing the open A string. Like that. So to start off we play this, where we're playing the A string, G string and the B string, and we're playing that with a roll. And then we do this. Same as before, we plug the A string, then the G string, and then ring the chord with a slap. And after that we have this. This is again the same thing, you're hammering on from the 1st fret of the B string to the 3rd fret. And then you're playing the open high E string. And then you're playing this, where you're plucking this string, and then you're ringing the chord with a slap. And then you're playing this note on the 1st fret of the B string. So it's exactly the same as what we did before, but this time you're doing it with the A string instead of the D string. So you get this from the start. And after that you have this part. So there you start off with the C major chord where you're playing the 3rd fret of the A string, the 2nd fret of the D string, open G string, 1st fret of the B string, and you're also playing the 3rd fret of the high E string there. So you get this. So there you have to play this part. So you start by plucking the A string, the B string and the high E string together. And then you pull off from the 3rd fret of the high E string to the open high E string. Like that. And after that you have this, where right after the pull off, you're playing this part. So there you have to hold this note on the 3rd fret of the B string, and if you play that, and then you do a muted slap, and then you lift it up to play the note on the 1st fret of the B string. Like that. So the whole thing sounds like this. And after that, all you have to do is you just have to repeat that part. So it sounds like this. And after that, we have this part. So there you're playing this major chord shape where you're playing the 3rd fret of the low E string with the thumb, the 5th fret of the D string with the ring finger, the 4th fret of the G string with the middle finger, and the 3rd fret of the B string with your index finger. So you have this chord. So you start by playing this note on the 3rd fret of the B string first, and then you play this, and then you slap. So there you're playing the low E string with the thumb, and then you're plucking the D string and the G string together. And then you play a muted slap. And after that you play this, where you're plucking the G string and then the D string and then the B string. And after that you play the low E string once. One more time. And when you add this to the previous part, it sounds like this. One more time. So far from the start, we have this. So that's the whole intro. After that we have the verse, which sounds like this. So there the very first bit sounds like this. So you start by playing this, where you have the open G string ringing out, and then you play the note on the 2nd fret of the G string with your index finger. And you also have the open D string there. So with the slap, you play the D string and the G string together. Like that. And right after you play the chord with the slap, you have this. So right after you ring the chord, you do a series of hammer-ons and pull-offs on this fret, on the 2nd fret of the G string. Like that. So you're pulling off and then you're hammering on and then you're pulling off again. And in the end you play this chord again. But this time when you play the chord, you just pluck it like this. So you just pluck the D string and the G string together. So the whole thing till there sounds like this. And after that you have this part. So right after you pluck this chord, you have this, where you ring the chord again with the slap, and then you play this, where you're plucking the G string and then you're plucking the D string. So I'll play that again. It sounds like this. So from the start we have this. more time slowly. And after that we have this part. So there we start off similarly like the last part, where we pluck the G string first and then we slap and play the chord, and then we do the hammer-ons and pull-offs like that. And after that we have this. So right after we played this part, we have this chord, where we're holding the second fret of the D string and we're plucking the A string and the B string, both of which are open, like that. And right after that we have this. So right after we pluck the A string and the B string, we have this part, where we pluck the open G string 2 times, and then we slap, and then we bring in this note on the second fret of the G string, and then we play this. So the whole thing sounds like this. So there I'm playing the G string and then the D string in the end. One more time. And to end we just play this, where we're playing the open A string and the note on the second fret of the D string. So the whole thing again sounds like this. So from the start of the verse we have this. And after that we have this part. So right after we arrived at this note, we have this part, where you slap and ring the chord, where you're playing these 2 notes, and then you do the hammer on and pull off with the middle finger again, like that. One more time. And after that you change the chord to this, where you're plucking the 3rd fret of the low E string and the open B string, and you have this. So right after you pluck the A string and the B string together, you have this part. There you start by playing the open G string 2 times, and then you slap, and then you play this, where you're playing the 2nd fret of the G string and the 2nd fret of the D string. So you bring in this note on the 2nd fret there, and then you play the 2nd fret of the D string. So I'll play that again very slowly. It sounds like this. And after that you end by playing these 2 notes. Note on the 3rd fret of the A string and the note on the 2nd fret of the D string. And again I'll play it from that part. And right after that finally we have this part. So right after you've arrived till this note, you have this part. So there you're lifting up the middle finger to play the open G string, and you're ringing the chord with a slap, and then you're hammering on onto the 2nd fret of the G string with the middle finger, like that. And after that you have this chord. So there you're playing the 3rd fret of the low E string with your middle finger, and you also have the open D string. So you plug the low E string and the D string together, like that. And after that you have this. So right after you plug these 2 together, the low E string and the D string, you have this part, where you slap and play the D string and the G string, both of which are open. and then you play the G string again. So the whole thing sounds like this. And to end, you just play the bass note again. So again, the whole thing sounds like this. So if you play the whole thing from the start of the verse, it sounds like this. And all you have to do again is repeat this whole thing one more time. So the whole verse sounds like this. So there again, in the end, you just have to add that little hammer-on part to the last chord. So I'm going to play that again. It sounds like this. So I'll play the entire verse. It sounds like this. So that's the whole verse. After that we have the pre-chorus, which sounds like this. So there you start with this chord where you're playing the 2nd fret of the G string and the 1st fret of the B string. You also have the open D string and the open high E string. So we start by playing this part, where we play the open D string and the 2nd fret of the G string first, and then we slap and ring the chord, and then we hammer on onto the 3rd fret of the B string. And after that we have this part. So there you start by plucking the open high E string first, and then you have this, where you're playing the open D string and then the G string. And after that you have this part, where you're playing the 1st fret of the B string, and then slap and ring the chord, and then you play the 3rd fret. So the whole thing slowly sounds like this. So from the start we have this. And after that you do the exact same thing, but only the bass note changes. So instead of the D string you play the open A string. So you get this. So all you're doing is, instead of playing the D string, you're playing the A string now. So from the start we have this. And after that you have this part. So there you're playing this chord where you have the 3rd fret of the A string and the 1st fret of the B string. You also have the open G string there. So you start by plucking the A string, G string and the B string together first, and then you play the G string again. And after that you have this part, where you ring the chord with a slap and then you hammer on onto the 3rd fret of the B string. The whole thing sounds like this. And after that you have this part. So there you play the open high E string, and then you play this, where you're playing the 3rd fret of the A string and the open G string. And then you do this. So there you play the first fret and then slap and ring the chord, and then you play the third fret of the B string. So the whole thing again sounds like this. And from the start of this chord, and right after that you have this part. So there the first chord is this, where you have the third fret of the low E string and the open G string and the open B string. So you're plucking the low E string, G string and the B string together, and you're muting it right after that. Make sure you don't let it ring for too long. And after that the next chord is this one, where you're playing the open D string and the second fret of the G string. And you play that with a slap. So, and also make sure that the only strings that are ringing out are the D string and the G string. So there you should be getting just these two notes, the D string and the G string. And after that you just have to lift this up, and now you play the open G string and the open D string together. So that's the third chord. So the whole thing sounds like this. And after that you have this part which leads into the chorus. So there you slide from the third fret of the B string to the fifth fret. You can also do that with your third finger or your ring finger if that's easier for you. So you just slide in and then stop, and then you play this note on the first fret of the B string. So you end up getting this. And then it moves on to the chorus. So the entire pre-chorus sounds like this. Hey guys, this video is going to get really long, so I'm going to divide it into two different parts. Check out the second part through the link down below.